Savitri, Book 2, The Book of the Traveller of the Worlds, Canto 5, The Godheads of the Little Life. Against all higher truth their stuff rebels. Only to titan force their will lies prone. Inordinate their hold on human hearts. In all our nature's turns they intervene. Insignificant architects of low-built lives and engineers of interest and desire, out of crude earthiness and muddy thrills and coarse reactions of material nerve, they build our huddled structures of self-will and the ill-lighted mansions of our thought, or, with the ego's factories and marts, surround the beautiful temple of the soul. Artists minute of the hues of littleness, they set the mosaic of our comedy, or plan the trivial tragedy of our days, arrange the deed, combine the circumstance, and the fantasia of the mood's costume. These unwise prompters of man's ignorant heart, and tutors of his stumbling speech and will, movers of petty wraths and lusts and hates, and changeful thoughts and shallow emotion starts, these slight illusion makers with their masks, painters of the decor of a dull-hued stage, and nimble scene shifters of the human play, ever are busy with this ill-lit scene. Ourselves incapable to build our fate, only as actors speak and strut our parts, until the piece is done and we pass off into a brighter time and subtler space. Thus they inflict their little pygmy law and curb the mounting slow uprise of man. Then his too scanty walk with death they close. This is the ephemeral creature's daily life. As long as the human animal is lord, and a dense nether nature screens the soul, as long as intellect's outward-gazing sight serves earthly interest and creature joys, an incurable littleness pursues his days. Ever since consciousness was born on earth, life is the same in insect, ape, and man. Its stuff unchanged, its way the common root. If new designs, if richer details grow, and thought is added, and more tangled cares, if little by little it wears a brighter face, still, even in man, the plot is mean and poor. A gross content prolongs his fallen state. His small successes are failures of the soul. His little pleasures punctuate frequent griefs. Hardship and toil are the heavy price he pays for the right to live, and his last wages, death. An inertia sunk towards inconscience, a sleep that imitates death, is his repose. A puny splendor of creative force is made his spur to fragile human works, which yet outlast their brief creator's breath. He dreams sometimes of the revels of the gods, and sees the Dionysian gesture pass, a leonine greatness that would tear his soul, if through his failing limbs and fainting heart the sweet and joyful mighty madness swept. Trivial amusements stimulate and waste the energy given to him to grow and be. His little hour is spent in little things, a brief companionship with many jars, a little love and jealousy and hate, a touch of friendship mid indifferent crowds, draw his heart plan on life's diminutive map. If something great awakes, too frail his pitch to reveal its zenith tension of delight, his thought to eternize its ephemeral soar. Art's brilliant gleam is a pastime for his eyes, a thrill that smites the nerves, his music's spell. Amidst his harassed toil and welter of cares, pressed by the labor of his crowding thoughts, he draws sometimes around his aching brow nature's calm, mighty hands to heal his life pain. He is saved by her silence from his rack of self. In her tranquil beauty is his purest bliss. A new life dawns. He looks out from vistas wide. The Spirit's breath moves him, but soon retires. His strength was not made to hold that puissant guest. All dulls down to convention and routine, or a fierce excitement brings him vivid joys. His days are tinged with the red hue of strife, and lust's hot glare, and passion's crimson stain. Battle and murder are his tribal game. Time has he none to turn his eyes within, and look for his lost self and his dead soul. His motion on too short an axis wheels. He cannot soar, but creeps on his long road, or if, impatient of the trudge of time, he would make a splendid haste on fate's slow road, his heart that runs soon pants and tires and sinks. Or he walks ever on and finds no end. Hardly a few can climb to greater life. All tunes to a low scale and conscious pitch. His knowledge dwells in the house of ignorance. His force nears not even once the omnipotent. Rare are his visits of heavenly ecstasy. The bliss which sleeps in things and tries to wake breaks out in him in a small joy of life. This scanty grace is his persistent stay. It lightens the burden of his many ills and reconciles him to his little world. He is satisfied with his common average kind, tomorrow's hopes and his old rounds of thought, his old familiar interests and desires. He has made into a thick and narrowing hedge, defending his small life from the invisible. His being's kinship to infinity, he has shut away from him into inmost self, fenced off the greatnesses of hidden God.